Before we get started, just a reminder that you can find all of my available rental properties on my website at marcguzman.com. If you own investment property, click on the Owner Services section to see our complete list of services. This episode is sponsored by Lanny Clark with Prime Lending. Lanny Clark is a loan officer specializing in residential home lending. He communicates with you every step of the way, and his honesty sets him apart from the rest. He's able to think outside of the box due to his experience and is able to tailor a loan program to fit your needs. If you can't qualify just yet, not a problem. He will let you know what you need to do in order to be ready. Lanny is also backed by Prime Lending, which is one of the biggest and fastest growing lending banks in the nation. They have simplified the home lending process down to 5 steps. And FYI, step number 5 is to relax and enjoy your new home. So contact Lanny Clark today at 510-964-0620. America is not just a land of opportunity, but a land of second chances. But not all second chances are created equal, and for some, they can be hard to come by. For a single mother overcoming abuse and or addiction, that second chance can seem impossible to achieve. That is why people like Kim Carter, our guest today, are so vital to the community. After dealing with her own bouts with homelessness and addiction, Kim found her second chance and turned it into the Time for Change Foundation, which works to get homeless mothers off the street and reunified with their children. A true agent of change, Kim works hard to ensure that no mother has to choose between getting the help she needs and keeping her children. So Kim, thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Very good, very good. We were just having a lovely little talk on real estate and being landlords. And so one thing I always like to ask guests is, number one, do you live in the Bay Area? And number two, why do you love the Bay Area so much?
Number one, yes, I live in the Bay Area. I've only been living here for 1 year. And what I love about the Bay Area is so much opportunity for me to take what I do best and actually help the individuals in the community. So I see a huge opportunity for me to make a difference in this community. So that's what's really exciting to me. And everybody's new people, it's new challenges, and I love to overcome challenges. That's one of the things that I'm just really passionate about.
So this is going to be episode 196, or we're about to hit 200, but it amazes me every single guest that comes onto the show, the amount of passion they have for the Bay Area. And one of the things that just keeps coming up over and over is the ability to do what they love to do and the community that they help, that they serve. And so it's just amazing to hear. I mean, it's very interesting to do a podcast and so many episodes and just hear so many people with all these different passions and just the whole diverse culture here in the Bay Area. It's amazing.
Yes. And I do believe passion leads way to your purpose. And so I truly feel like I'm doing what I'm called to do.
Mm-hmm. So one thing we haven't asked for a while here is, what's your favorite restaurant to eat at here in the Bay Area?
Well, I would be lying if I told you that I've been able to, eat at all these different restaurants. I do have one favorite restaurant that happens to be in the Bay Area, and that's Crustacean. So I'm a fan of the roasted crab and the butter noodles.
Where's that at?
It's in San Francisco.
Okay.
It's in San Francisco. Originally named Thane Long.
Okay, so that's your go-to spot.
For celebrations. Yes.
So let's talk about the Time for Change Foundation. And when did you establish it, and what were the original goals behind it?
So I started Time for Change Foundation in 2002, and my original goal was to help women coming from incarceration have a place in order to change that. I don't know if you read my bio, but, I recycle in and out of prisons due to drug addiction, homelessness, and a lot of childhood abuses that had not been healed, and I thought that my life was over. There was no hope for me. I received one drug program that had some therapeutic services, and I was able to get clean and stay clean. I was able to reunite with my daughter, and I thought how many other women inside were suffering the same way that I was and didn't know that we had found a way out. So I started with just that one home. Then over time, women in the community was hearing about my program. It's like, Miss Carter, do I have to go to prison in order to come to your program? And I was like, no, we should be able to do prevention. And I opened it up to all homeless women. Anybody wishing to recreate their life, I believe, should have that second chance to do that. But you have to have a place in order to change at. You can't change in a heavily impoverished community where there's drugs, there's high violence, there's gang activity. I can't tell you to walk down those streets on a daily basis and get your life together. You need a place to not only heal, but to become healthy.
Yeah, and we've interviewed several places locally, like the Rice Center out of Richmond, and it's one of the tough things that a lot of even young adults have to deal with growing up is number one, you're not aware of all the options available to you. Number two, if you're living a rough life and life's really tough, sometimes you can get easily stuck in that same cycle. And if there's no one to guide you or at least show you, hey, there's a way out, or here's another option available to you that you can take. I think that's important to get that message out to people because many people just don't know.
I'm glad you mentioned that because we know that environment is a social indicator of health. Based on where your zip code, they can determine how long you're going to live. And so, if there's opportunities that people can't see, touch, and feel, then that means it's not accessible. We don't want opportunity to be something you only see on TV. We don't want it to be elusive. We want to know that you can have that too. But I got to be able to show it to you so you can see, touch, and feel it. And a lot of times, opportunity is just not right there where people can see, touch, and feel. And they will miss it. Then we have kids who've never left their inner city communities, have never seen the beach, have never been to a museum. Those are things that we can do as a community. And that's why I really love Time for Change Foundation because, see, our mission is to empower disenfranchised, low-income individuals and families by building leadership through evidence-based housing and programs designed to create self-sufficiency and thriving communities. So when we change that one mother and her family's trajectory, then that leads her kids to have a new trajectory, and then their kids can have a new trajectory. So now we have mothers in college, we have kids in college, and we have mothers who are civically engaged, being a part of the city council meetings, and they're clean and sober, and they have savings now. So they've left that have-not section and turned into the have section because there's two kinds of people: the haves and the have-nots. So they've went over to the have. They've learned how to save. We taught them some financial tools that many people don't even understand exist. We know that for years, communities of color have been, oppressed and institutionalized to the point where, the banks was redlining and not even offering loans in community of colors for people to get home ownership or to get small business loans. And so now we've reversed that. We're holding banks accountable to the communities that they're in. We're making sure these institutions are able to provide for these families who are there. And our goal is to ensure that every child has access to promising futures.
There we go. We had a few mishaps with the mic.
But we're going to keep on going. The show must go on.
You handled that like a pro. Just kept going.
The show must go on.
Yeah, so you said something very interesting that a lot of people don't understand if they did not grow up in the situation is that many low-income and impoverished people have not experienced anything even outside of their own city, beach, traveling to different cities, much less outside the state or a different country. And so there's already plenty of studies that show just exposing people to new experiences opens up their mind to a whole bunch of different possibilities, and you can track and see these trajectories completely change.
I'm so aware of it. Do you know that if you put Kim Carter around a bunch of PhDs, that I'm going to pull out my PhD? I'm a person that have created evidence-based programs. I've done epidemiology models. I didn't go to school for scientific health studies, but I've been able to do them because, see, when you get access to information, like technology, for example, then you're able to not only enhance your intelligence, but you're able to even create artificial intelligence. We're using databases, and so we're using the top of the line programs. And what I found out is that as a provider, it's my job to give those who need the most, give them the best. So I'm delivering them high quality services. I'm not doing a little dab or do you. I'm giving them full doses of cures and treatments that have been proven to work. So I'm not afraid of research. I'm not afraid of going in the room with a whole bunch of politicians. I'm going to speak up and use my voice because that's what my calling is. And so just talking about the Bay Area, I just want to bring this out. The homelessness is out of control. And, we have women and children who are living, in abandoned buildings and under cars and under bridges and in tents. We have people who don't have no tent, just living out there. And so when I think about, what some of the challenges, I feel like in the Bay Area, people are pointing toward the technology world, the tech. They're saying like the Facebook and the Google people have, created this technology and these high-paying jobs, and these people are coming into communities that was once low income, and landlords have raised the rent because the people have more income, and it's making people who was already in the community gentrify and have to leave out. But see, I don't believe that that technology should be, a death trap for people who are low income. I believe that innovation can be the pathway for people low income to go into the future. So I don't believe in pointing fingers like, oh, it's Facebook, oh, it's Google. I believe we need to have honest conversations, and we need to bring people to the table and have the conversations, because I doubt very much that they sat down and said, well, hey, we're going to create these new innovations, and these innovations are going to be the main reason why women cannot reunify with their children out of the foster care system because they can't access safe and decent housing. I don't think that conversation has been had. And so I do believe that innovation and technology could actually be a key to helping us to turn that tide around. But if we never have the conversations with, the tech people, and they're getting the bad rap for all these other collateral consequences that I don't think was originally intended, I think that's what I'm going to bring to the table, being Time for Change Foundation, is that there's something that we can learn, we can glean, and we can work together. Because I don't think that's the direct result that they intended, but they need to know, because women cannot access housing. We have over 80,000 children right now in child protective services who are in the courts and cannot reunify with their mother because their mother cannot afford housing.
80,000?
80,000. The courts right here in the Bay Area, the courts will not give you your children back if you do not have an address. And women cannot get an address. I'm talking about very low, extremely low, $15 an hour working moms who have completed every other requirement the court has had: the drug program, the parenting, financial education, money management, the license, certificates galore, but cannot access housing. And they cannot go to like another part of the state and live, because you have to get your kid back in the county that your kid is held in, because they have to follow up with you 3 and 6 months later to make sure you're still taking care of your kid. It's not their fault they can't access housing. And I don't think the Facebook, the Google, the DocuSign, these technology companies know the negative impact that the rising housing costs has created, and if they aren't even to blame for the rising housing costs. But I do want to bring that conversation to the forefront, particularly here in the real estate office. We got to have those conversations.
Yeah, it's definitely a good conversation to have, because I think for tech companies, you have one issue that there's not enough qualified workers in the Bay Area to handle a lot of their business. And so what they have to do is outsource. I mean, most of Google's engineers are not even in the Bay Area. They're in Texas, India, and different places. Yet they're such a large company, right? I think they just don't have access to a lot of people that can code and do certain things that they need. And so they have to outsource, or they have to import a lot of people into the Bay Area to handle those jobs. What I would like to see is more money being placed into, okay, we have enough people in the Bay Area that we, like, number count wise, there's enough people to handle these jobs. So let's get these people educated. Let's provide them the opportunities to come in and make those, become coders, become engineers, become software developers that will take over those higher paying jobs. And then that will help out all the various local communities that I think the biggest problem right now is just lack of education.
You talk about creating a pipeline. They're
Yeah,
going to create a
exactly.
pipeline. And so, and here it goes back to when we have these young college kids going to college, coming out with all this school debt, and they don't have the skills for today to be able to
Hmm.
get into a job for tomorrow, then that's a problem, right? When we have these Stanford universities, all these universities here that are graduating kids are walking out with degrees, but it does not meet the standard or the baseline for the companies that are in the Bay Area, that's a problem. And it requires them to come together and collaborate and work on what's needed to make those demands met, right? But in the meantime, between time, I'm focusing on women who are very low and extremely low income who are trying to reunite with their children. We've gotten back over 287 children from foster care back with their moms in
Wow.
Southern California. I have 15 different locations in Southern California, and I moved out here December the 8th, 2017 to expand my business in the Bay Area.
Well, you're doing good
I
work.
came out here alone, isolated. I felt like, Jesus, are you sending me to the wilderness? Like, what have I done? Have thou forsaken me? Because I had to come out here and meet strange people and shake hands and just explain to people the model. See, I'm a social entrepreneur, so
Hmm.
I appreciate innovation. I appreciate advancement of the mind, better ways to do things, doing things that haven't been done. And let's evaluate it. Let's test it. Let's see if it works. That's why I get a lot of the recognition that I get because my stuff is working and it's been evaluated by tons of PhDs. And so I came out here. I had to raise the money first in order to get the property.
Do you find, and let me tell you maybe a little bit of background from an article I read several months ago, which is going to prompt this question I'm going to ask. But right now, um, the number of homeless people in the United States that they've been able to track and actually calculate, right? Most likely it's underestimated, but for the most part, they kind of figure, okay, we have so many thousand people. I want to say in California was 140,000 homeless people. And California right now has the highest rate of, or the highest number of homeless people.
And
Um,
housing insecure, people who are double living in other people's homes.
that's a whole nother situation. That's a whole nother statistic. Exactly. So they said in order to cure, like financially, cure homelessness, to provide some type of housing for everyone, whether you build some temporary housing or come up with some type of solution, costs roughly $20 billion. And that's roughly what Americans spend in 1 year on Christmas lights.
And we know
With,
what Trump trying to do right now with 5 billion. So we know we got some billions around here.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We're not short of billions in California, right?
Yeah.
But see, my whole thing is think about the population that is here, the education level, and the needs of the community, and build housing according to that. So, as a developer, right? So you say, well, how did you go from emergency shelter to permanent supportive housing to developing affordable housing? I did that because I got tired of my clients waiting for the government's housing authority with a 5 and 6 year waiting list for them to access housing. They're clean, they're sober, they're working, they have savings, they have children who are in school, they want to be consistent, their kids in the same school, and yet the housing that they need does not exist. So I said, I need to start building my own housing. So I started doing research. I'm like, oh, I could do this. I can just, I started researching, following the money. Where's the money supposed to come down, our taxpayer dollars, back into the community as an investment to build housing for our population? Found the money. Hey, since nobody wants to use it because they don't want to build housing for our population, I need that money.
Was it easy or difficult to find the money?
Nothing. I can always find the money. It's not difficult to find the money. I'm a mathematician on the back end. That's my first love. Numbers and me, we go together like hands in the glove, right? So I found the money, but I realized that people who was in the profession of developing affordable housing was not taking care of our population. If they build 500 units, they're gonna make 20 of the units of the 500 for very low and extremely low incomes. The rest of them they call affordable. Well, affordable housing is 80% of the area median income in San Francisco. That's 140,000.
Hmm.
And so if affordable housing for $140,000 is what people are working on, The person who's making 50 ain't got a chance.
Yeah.
So I want to dedicate my
Even worse if
time.
you're making 10 or not making any money.
Exactly. So I've dedicated my time to working with those populations that are being missed. See, I can do infill projects. So you give me a quarter acre or half an acre of land, I can come up with 10 or 15 units. I can come up with 25 units. I get some parking concessions. I could probably get 30 units in there. And the thing about it is I have a track record that shows that all my properties, we have 0 police calls. My affordable housing, they have low income people in there. There's 0 police calls. It did not create a ghetto. And it looks so nice. Every time somebody comes to the town, they want to do a tour, they tour my Phoenix Square. So I have my own footprint of what I've built. So I know it's possible. So when you know something, you're not going to set up for anything else. So I just keep pushing. I'm the kind of person, I get up, I keep going, right? I don't take no for an answer. N-O means O-N. It's on now. I got to figure out a way to get around that. I just keep on going. And so the thing about it is, I know it's because God brought me from being homeless, brought me from being in prison, brought me from having all those experiences, even though it's been 25 years ago, clean and sober, haven't been to prison. He makes me remember that. And what did I need when I got out all those times? I needed a place to change at. So I say to my brothers and sisters on the street, let me work with you and give you a place to change at. We've helped over 1,100 women from poverty go to prosperity to self-sufficiency. 280 something kids back from foster care, back with their moms. We build buildings, we lease out, we master lease out other landlords' apartment units. I'll lease out 10 of those units. Those are my units. Put my clients in there. I use every opportunity. I got my own Section 8 going right now. I got with donors that are supporting people, subsidizing people's rent to keep them housed. Like, there's a lot of good people here in this Bay Area, and they're looking for something that works. I have something that works.
What year did you start the foundation?
2002.
So for someone entering the foundation and to beginning the
First phase.
What do they expect? What's it like?
So it's like a boot camp, right? It's a boot camp because it's highly structured, right? And we meet you where you are, and we ask you a couple of things. 1, drug and alcohol free. 2, are you ready for change? 3, are you willing to put it all in? If you give me 100, I can get you 150 back. But you can't give me 10 and get 100. I need all energy and all efforts focused on your change. And then we sit down with them and we do the assessment and we let them create 3 goals. And from those 3 goals that you create, we set up a bunch of activities for you to do to accomplish those goals. And then weekly case management sessions helping you to accomplish those goals. And when we look up 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, we always evaluating, right, to see how the progress is working. Any challenges or barriers, that's where we come in at, because I'm an advocate. I'm a policymaker. Like I've went from breaking laws to making laws. We've created a AB 1008, the Fair Chance Employment Act, AB 855, keeping families whole, AB 1497, changing the food stamp law for people who was convicted of drug possession to be able to access something as simple as food stamps for a short period of time so they can go ahead and recreate their life. Anything that's going to widen that path for more opportunity. We have children. Let me tell you about this 5th grader named Stephen. 5th grade, living with his mother, homeless, thinking he camping in the park, but they homeless. Hadn't been to school in like 7 months. Came to our program. Told us how, sometimes he would eat dinner. Sometimes he wouldn't, depending on if he went to school, right? He would eat, he called it a raw meat, but it was like, uncooked meat, probably bologna and cold cuts, right? This kid, after 1 year of continuous education by being in our housing program and being stabilized, created a science project with volcano eruption on it. That science project from that 5th grader went all the way to the state. The year before that, this boy was living in abandoned buildings and living in parks, wasn't even going to school. We don't know what he going to be when he gets 17, 18. He might create the next innovation in this world. We don't know. These kids just need a chance. So when I see them thriving because they have stable housing, they know their mom is okay, because children pick up on their mom's vibes, right? Their mom is okay. They can be kids again. So this thing we do right here has an impact. It's generational. And when you look here in Alameda County, you have to earn $59 an hour, $49.08 an hour in order to afford a 1-bedroom here in Alameda. This is in Alameda County alone.
$49.
Right. But everyone's happy because the minimum wage went to $15. Okay? But can you afford housing with $15 an hour?
Yeah, which is why you see so many people living together in one house
and living in
because they
their
can't.
cars
And that too, yeah.
and living in their cars and homeless and working. And this should be the type of country that if you're going to put in a fair day's work, you should get a fair day's pay to be able to take care of you and your family. Housing is one of the major indicators of how well you're going to do and how your kids are going to do because housing determines what school your kids go to. Housing determines what kind of grocery stores are going to be in your neighborhood. Are you surrounded with check cashing places and smoke shops, or are you surrounded with libraries and bookstores? Right.
Hmm.
That all determines what you're gonna see on a daily basis. If there are abandoned buildings in your neighborhood, or if there are green spaces and parks in your neighborhood. And I'll tell you, from the first time that this country has ever set eyes on any people, it was the indigenous people. And the first thing they did was took their land. They had their own land, their own TP. They had the ability to take care of them and their families based on the land. The first thing that happened to them is that their land was taken. And you look over time, taking somebody's land is taking somebody's house. And that has perpetuated to where we're at today where people can't even get into housing. We have an issue right now where they taking children at the border, right? Putting them in cages. America's like, oh my God, children at the border. They've been taking kids from this community for years. They've been taking kids and putting them in cages, whether it was a cage in someone else's house or if it was a cage in a detention center. They've been taking people's kids in this country for years. And my job is to get those kids back to their mother and give their mother the tools to be resourceful and independent. And I know it works because I wasn't just an exception. People like me, I have a lot of friends, I'm not the exception. There's opportunity and access. Now, some of your viewers might be asking, how could they help, right? My website, www.timeforchangefoundation.org. That's timeforchangefoundation.org.
Perfect. We'll go ahead and link it up. So how do you deal with individuals that start the program and then maybe drop out or can't keep up with maybe phase one or some of the goals that you set? How do you work with them to get them back on track?
So what happens is we have this thing called motivational interviewing. And motivational interviewing is like a conversation style to help with people who may be a little ambivalent in their choices. And so because we had that initial assessment and we found out what their goals was, we listened for four things. I want to hear your desire. I want to hear your ability. I want to hear your reason. And I want to hear your need. And my job as a case manager when I'm working with you is to constantly bring that need back to the forefront, right? That desire you had when you first came in, because you didn't just call one day and get in the next day. It's a process to get in. There's a waiting list. People are dying to get in. So if you made it in there because you really wanted it, so now I want to make sure, have you been distracted? Is there some boyfriend around the corner that came into your life? Because that's why we have, no men allowed policy in our housing program. One of the fastest things that get women off track is when a boyfriend shows up. And I tell them, there's going to be a time that you're going to have a man, going to be a man of your dreams. But right now, it's not the time. Because anybody who would date you while you're in a homeless shelter trying to recreate your life and get your children back is not going to allow you to be your whole self. That means they ain't their whole self. So that means we need to wait till your stock goes up. And when your stock goes up in 2 or 3 years, I look around and see you got a boyfriend, and guess what? He got a job, he got a car, and his own place to stay. Imagine that. But I have to allow them to see themselves successful. So visioning and bringing other women into the community, into the homes, and into our offices to do classes to show the women that there's life after this episode, right? You can go on and be anything you want to be. The sky is the limit. You have to just persevere. You got to stay, on the track. But I just keep bringing that back to the forefront. I keep reminding them about them precious kids. Those kids might come back a little, biting on their mothers and, a little child. Because they be pissed off. You left me for a year, with these strange people. Now I come back, I'm 3 years old. Yeah, I'm going to kick you a couple times. You know what I'm saying? But my whole thing is hug them while they kicking you. Let them know it won't happen again, right? Because we do that to our kids when we abandon our children, And I get the beauty and the blessing of seeing women with their children because I wasn't able to pull that off, right? I wasn't able to get my daughter back, keep my daughter with me when my life was recreated. Right, I was told I had to wait till I get to a certain point in life. I was 5 years sober with a job with stable housing before I got my daughter back because there was no time for change foundation there for me. And once that maternal bond is broken, it's not something that's easily repaired. So I'm so overjoyed when God allows me to work with women and see them get their kids back 7 months old, 9 months old, 15 months, right? Now we know the Child Protective Services, if you have children that's under 3 years old, they can only be in the system for 12 months. And those kids are on a fast track adoption. So you got to get your kids out. So kids are being permanently placed for life based on the age criteria. So I need to create opportunity for women who have a desire to change. And there's so many women that wants to change. Because once that hole in your gut comes from you losing your kid, that emotional rot gut trauma experience, it haunts you forever and a day. It haunts you forever and a day. And so if you don't know you have a chance, if you don't know you have access, then you don't know there's a way out. So that's what my job is. That's why I appreciate being on the Marc Guzman show today, because we got to get the word out that it's time for change, and women can change the course of their life. They just need a place to change at. And that's why I use housing as the foundation for all of my program and services. Because you have to have a place to live in order to get mail, in order to start doing these great things that we do at the agency.
That's amazing. And I love your passion. I mean,
this is me,
yeah,
Marc.
I love the passion. I love
Marc,
the passion.
This is me.
It makes a podcast so easy, too. So how do you deal with employment opportunities to get the individuals in the program? Like, how do you get them employed? Do you work with several employers that have contracts with you to bring them in, or do you just simply actively go out looking for jobs, or do you place that sole responsibility on them to teach them to find jobs?
No. We have a program called Work to Win, right? And Work to Win is the employment development program, and with that comes, a career assessment, and we look and see what are some of those natural talents, because there's some transferable skills from your former way of life. They can be transferred into this way of life. Ask me how I know, right? And so we help them to identify those, and then we put them on a career path, whether it's more education, whether it's our apprenticeship, whatever the skills are needed to learn that job, we put them on that path. In the meantime, between time, we have what we call temporary employment opportunities. And because we have the Amazons, we have the warehouses, we have the different mom and pop shops that love to work with our girls. Of course, it's short-term employment to give them that on-the-job training, right? We also have opportunities within the organization to learn soft skills, answering the phone, doing mailings, helping with our fundraising efforts, making cold calls. We have opportunities for them to come and help the other women who are new in the program to be their mentor. So we give them a lot of life skills and employment skills to get them on path. And then we teach them how to, sell themselves, right? How to market yourselves. Because one thing my girls got, they got a I'm in it to win it attitude. They're going to work harder than the average person because they're so happy to get that job. They're going to show up early, they're going to stay late. And they're going to do what's required, because to not do that will be giving less than your 100. We got to give 140 and 150% to get ahead these days. 100 is not going to work no more when you come from a deficit. You got to put in 140, 150. I be going 200 and 300. I go nonstop. So they have a living example at all times. We got to get it done.
It's amazing what people can accomplish when they're like 100%, 200% motivated, right?
Man, it's unbelievable. And motivation will take you far, because motivation and inspiration, that goes back to this innovation. That goes back to getting with, Facebook, all these high-tech companies. We need to really get with these companies and start having some conversations, because, we're innovative. If I can get around them for a few days and see what they do, I'm going to come up with something, because ideas come up here, right? I'm constantly can see things that can go together that other people don't see.
Yeah. So Gavin Newsom plans to build, according to his campaign, he was planning to build 500,000 units per year as far as housing. Now, we don't know how close he's actually going to get to this, but in your opinion, what do you think the California government needs to do to focus more on homeless mothers?
Well, I think there needs to be a special needs set-aside fund. I think when Governor Gavin Newsom said he's going to...
Specifically for homeless mothers, right?
Exactly, because what happens is there's so many homeless people. Like, I got a call from a teacher. She's a Caucasian woman, a teacher of special ed, right? She has 8 months clean and sober, working on her job, but she doesn't have a place to live in order to get her kids back out of CPS. And she's working teacher, and she's Caucasian. So we look at, there's people who are homeless who have what we call good jobs back in the day already. And so there's a lot of people who can't get housing. And so, I'm afraid that when you just use the word, he's going to build that many affordable housing units that it's going to be for the people who's making $150,000 a year because they need affordable housing too. So I think having a special set aside, carved to the side, this amount of money is targeted to this vulnerable population is one step. The second step is make sure affordable house developers like Time for Change Foundation can access those dollars, right? So if you say you must have done 10 projects, then then I ain't gonna be able to get the resources because I've only done one project and I got one in the pipeline right now. But if you say if you've ever done any project, then I can access resources. I can demonstrate financial capability to manage funds, to contract out. I can demonstrate that, but sometimes they set the rules where it automatically eliminates people like me who want to develop 100% very low and extremely low income households.
And the problem with that is then if you have it very restrictive, the only people really like with that type
Eligible.
of access are going to be really just investors looking at the return, and if the return's not there, they pass on it and they move on, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And I understand that development was made to be a profitable, job. I just got it into it 'cause I had to do it. Right. But that's where I'm able to, cut a little bit more cost too. Because I don't have those exorbitant development fees. Because I don't need that. I still got my check coming from my job. This is a part of my job. Right. I have access to other grant opportunities that can help subsidize stuff. Right. So I can pull in other things that the average developer can't do because he's not a nonprofit. And if he is a nonprofit, he's working with another developer who's not a nonprofit. I'm a developer and a nonprofit all in one stop shop right here. And got a built in clientele of women who are already graduated the boot camp and ready for their own independent housing, who can maintain their housing. We have programs right now with HUD where our number one success is that they're maintaining their housing. They've been housed for 4 and 5 years because that's an outcome.
Now, do you see an issue with HUD with their funding cut? Because HUD got
Right now, HUD shut down. The only issue I have with HUD right now is they closed.
that too,
You
yeah.
said,
Yeah.
we need the government to open up. Let's talk
Yeah.
about that government open up. I'm hoping that,
Yeah, and
between
today-
the Coast Guard
And today we just got bad news because the Senate voted down two bill
oh
proposals
yeah, they
to
already know that
reopen
was
it.
gonna happen. That was all
Yeah.
that was all for play. We knew that was gonna happen already. But I'm hoping somehow, some way, between these Coast Guards, these TSA, the airline pilots, and the stewardess, and all these other people who are impacted by the government. At some point, it's going to be people like Lockheed and all these Northrop, all these government contracted security defense companies are going to be impacted with their government contracts if the government that they contract with is closed. That's going to affect their money. You see what I'm saying? It's affecting my money for sure because I got like 10 units. No, I got 13 units of permanent supportive housing that we pay their rent on a regular basis. That money comes through HUD. So if HUD is closed and not giving me my money back, it's only so long I can float that expense hoping the government shut down. They go hard for the whole 6 to 7 months. We gonna all be looking at our cash flow, looking and see how we can keep ourselves maintained.
Yeah, so we manage quite a few Section 8 rental units, and I've already had the talk with the property owners and basically telling them, hey, HUD announced that they've got funds to pay February, but if this government shutdown continues, well, March, is in question. They're not going to have enough funds to pay you. They'll eventually pay, the
People back.
people back, yeah, when they reopen. The problem, though, is you have a lot of landlords that are going to go without rent coming in. It's going to affect them. And then that also scares the tenants in place because now, even though it's illegal to evict tenants for non-payment of housing funds, which a lot of people don't know, they are still scared because they don't know if the landlord's still going to try to evict them or something, right? It creates a lot of
And see,
instability.
that really works with the Section 8, but when you got a program like my version of Section 8, I'm contracted directly with that landlord, right? It's not, I'm with that landlord, so it's not like I have a third party to rely on. You see, so now I don't want my credit rating for my agency to go down the drain because the government is playing games. Right? I got to make sure that we stay alive. So, you're constantly balancing those things and, always looking for, again, I just want to put it out there, if people can go to our website because I definitely need some help here in the Bay Area. I would be remiss to say that, being here alone and doing all that I want to do and trying to do, that I wish there's some people who might want to call in. My number for our office is 909-886-2994. My personal cell here in the Bay Area is 951-217-0971. I would love to give people a tour of our housing project in the Bay Area. I want to mention that, we was top 10 CNN heroes. So out of 50,000 nominations in 8 different countries, we made it to the top 10. Last year, we were 2018 James Irvine Leadership Award recipients. And James Irvine, they picked 8 innovative nonprofit organizations in the whole state of California who has created innovative solutions to address California's most pressing problems. And that was Time for Change Foundation as well. So, we have tons of credibility and we're doing a great thing. And I would love to be able to meet some of your listeners and see how people can come on board and let's help get these children on track, right? We can definitely see the impact of our donation when you had Time for Change Foundation.
So website again, timeforchangefoundation.org. And so I would imagine all the information is available for people interested in the program, people looking to help out with the program, and also donations, correct?
Exactly. And I'm here in the Bay Area, so my cell phone number, 951-217-0971. Call me anytime. I'm here in the Bay Area. I'm actually here in the Bay. I've lived here now, right? Everything is higher, too. So my little money ain't going as long way like I used to. I was doing pretty good in San Bernardino. Now up here, I'm on a budget like everybody else. But at the end of the day, my heart is overjoyed with the amount of opportunities to help women. And I know I have purpose. See, you got to remember, I come from living under the bridges. I come from nothing. So to be here 25 years later, to know that my hands and my brain still working and I can help people, that's a reward in itself. That's where I guess where my passion comes from, because I know it works, and when I see the women and children, I'm like, yes, we do this. We do this. This is what we
passion.
do.
I love it.
So I'm excited.
So one thing that we've been doing new here on the podcast is this, we spin a wheel here. Basically, whatever topic comes up, we kind of jump into it. So who would you play in the movie? Is that we're going to do a different one? We've had some very interesting questions and some very interesting responses on this. Worst.
We did that already.
Okay, so we playing this spin the wheel game, little casino going on. Celebrity crush
you have
right now. Okay, Kim Carter, who you crushing on? So, you're not even having bromances. I'm going to have a sister crush. I really would love to meet Taraji P. Henson. I would love to meet Taraji P. Henson. And I feel like me and Taraji P. Henson could get together and we could do some really amazing things to really raise the awareness of the housing issue with the women and the children and the model that works. I'm going to share this little secret with you. 2 years ago, I was approached by a famous director, and I was told that they wanted to do a movie about me in my life, and that they was going to look for an A-list actress to play me. Well, the A-list actress they found was Halle Berry. So I get a call from Halle Berry, and she's like, Kim, I love your story. I love your passion. I love everything you're doing. I want to do this project, because it was these group of film directors and producers called We Do It Together that's working on these projects, right? And so we went and I met her, at the Four Seasons Hotel in Beverly Hills, and I took my associate director, who's now the director, Vanessa Perez, there, and one of my clients, and it went really great. But that's Hollywood, right? Because it's 2 years later. It's like, okay, if it was a Kim Carter project, it'd be done by now. Check. You know what I'm saying? So, stay tuned. Maybe that's still coming. I will say that you guys can also check us out this Friday. On January 30th, we're going to be featured on the Steve Harvey Show. So that's going to be cool. January 30th at 2:00, whatever your time channels is. Look at your TV guide, figure out when does Steve Harvey come in on your set. But, we're going to be featured on the Steve Harvey Show.
So you're hustling out there. You're getting the word out there of this foundation.
I got to get it done. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's
amazing. I need help. I need help. This ain't a one man band. This is dream work takes teamwork, right?
So how many people are part of the foundation right
There's
now?
15 people in Southern California. And Vanessa, I succeeded my executive directorship to Vanessa Perez, young leader. She was a under 30 leader announced by Assemblymember Eloise Reyes. Fantastic, Latino woman that's on fire. And I moved up here, based on the vision and what the Lord told me to do. And I've been up here for the whole year working on this expansion. And you see, when God gives you the vision, He'll give you the provision. Because I have a home up and running right now in the city of Hayward. And I just have more work to do. So, but up here, it's me and I'm hiring a case manager. And, but I need resources.
So are you the only one working with the foundation up here in the Bay Area?
That's why my new role is ambassador. And ambassador goes and speaks to people about the program. That's why I'm so happy to be here on the Marc Guzman Show.
Yeah. Well, we love having you on the show here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and whatever we can do to help out as far as spreading the word, getting people interested, getting people to just know that the foundation exists is a huge deal.
Exactly. I would love to be able to, we have our annual gala coming up. I was looking for sponsorships, people to help underwrite the cost of the event so we can raise funds. We use those funds directly to help maintain our housing for our women and children. We have 15 different locations. So, they can go on the website and check it all out. Watch some of the videos. Go to number 4 and number 6 on the playlist.
So I have to ask you, when you successfully place a mother into a home, help them get their life on track, and then at the end of the day, they're able to get their child back. How does that feel for you?
I cry, I laugh, I happy, I jump. It's an overwhelming feeling. It's a feeling that I believe that, God allows me to have because I couldn't get it for myself. So I get to get it over and over and over again. It's just really it's a blessing. It's a blessing. And when that mom gets that child back, we don't leave her alone. Oh, we're gonna make sure that she cooking, she cleaning, she bathing, she scrubbing them up, greasing them up.
She enters phase 2, huh?
Hold up. Is she on the phase 2? Guess what? It's still no men allowed. Y'all 100% focus is on that child that God just blessed you back with. And he or she doesn't need no undivided attention. All your attention. I'm getting you involved with the PTA. You're going to the schools. You're going on a field trip. You're going to take the cookies and the brownies to your kids' class. You're going to participate.
What's the average length for the people that you help?
So the thing about it is we help people long term. Like I have a girl that's like 14 years. She's still maintaining her housing and sobriety because maintaining your housing is maintaining your housing. She doesn't need classes from me. She doesn't need mentoring from me. She's a plus and she helps other people. So I place people in housing, but we become this big family. So we have this huge alumni network who comes back and share their experience, their strength, and their hope, and they help show the other women who are new. Hey, I was here 7 years ago. I went through the boot camp. I was in the shelter because it's structure. You got chores. You got to clean. You got to be ready for the van pick you up. You got to like boom, 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 right? And so I have women who constantly go back and let them know. And look where I'm at now. People have savings. They got $6,000, $7,000 savings. They're self-sufficient. They're paying their own rent. Right? Some of them have donated money back to the organization because they're so grateful and so happy.
They're able to save up $6,000 or $7,000 in savings. That's a huge accomplishment because 60% of Americans don't even have $300 saved.
Exactly. But one of the things that we teach them early on is going from being a have to a have-not, right? So we go over the list of the have-nots, right? And we go over the list of what the haves got. One of the things the haves got, they got savings. Yeah, you might think they got fancy cars, they got boats and yachts and all that, but up under that is savings, it's retirement, it's insurance, it's stocks, it's bonds, it's things that appreciate, not depreciate. So see, we can't just look at the high class living and all that. Look at what sustains it. Because poor people have had a car, but when it broke down, it was done. Right? They've had a place, they lost their job, it was done. They didn't have the stuff to back it up. So we teach them how and to be comfortable with having money. Instead of it burning the hole in your pocket and you keep coming out there, I got an emergency. They got to sell at Macy's. No, that wasn't a sell at Macy's. That was an ad that was targeted to get you to spend your money. Let me wake you up to ads and marketing. They spend millions of dollars with these neon signs talking about buy one, get one free. But it wasn't one free. It's two prices for the same two items, split in half. But the sign brought you in. So I teach them all about going to the counter at the end, paying do your grocery shopping at the end of the counter. Do we want to buy this extra item? Was it on your list? Don't get talked into spending your money. Because I can do a whole class on financial education, money management, right? Because the root word for money was currency. Root word of currency is current. I mean, you're supposed to have some right now. So if you don't have some right now, you're going against the flow of money. But money is meant to rotate. So if you leave right now with a $20 bill, you spend at the gas station, I could come behind you on my way to London and get that same 20. By tomorrow night, that $20 bill you had today will be in London tomorrow. Money going to do what money going to do. Your job makes sure it comes back to you, wanting to get away from you. That's the name of the game.
That's a completely different mindset that so many people don't have.
You have
And
to
it's
be
hard
taught.
to learn.
It's not hard to learn. We haven't been taught it. We've been taught it's not enough. We've been taught, you ain't going to get it. We've been taught to be living in a mindset of lack. The God said that you're going to have life and have it more abundantly. You have not because you ask not. So let me say again, I would love for some of the Marc Guzman people that listen to the show right now to please reach out to us at www.timeforchangefoundation.org. Call me on my cell phone, 951-217-0971, and help me transform the lives of these women and children so that you too can see that people can aspire and inspire when they give an opportunity.
So what do you see in the next 10 years for the foundation? What's the ultimate goal? I know you've accomplished a lot. You're still in the process of accomplishing a lot. But what's the ultimate goal in your mind, or what's the next 10 years look like for you?
So, when I think ahead too far, I'm not doing God's will because he reveals it to me sometimes in the middle of the night at 3 or 4 in the morning. But what I can say, anything that's going to open up the pathway, knock the door down, and make opportunity for people to be able to recreate their life, we're going to be right there. We're going to be on the front. I don't know if I'm going to be into elected office. People ask me millions of times, will you run for office? Will you run for office? I don't know. I ain't thinking about that right now because they haven't been giving me as instruction, right? But I do know that housing is the basis through which anybody can achieve anything. And it's not one person successful in this world that did not have a place to live before they got there. So I just ask that my sisters and their children have a place to live so they too can be on a journey to whatever is for them ahead, right? So I want to be there creating that opportunity. I want to be able to create other people who can be leaders as well. I don't want to be a leader that create followers. I want to be a leader, create other leaders. And that's why I'm so happy with our leadership development program because we teach women how to be civically engaged. We teach them how to use their own voice. We teach them that their vote counts. They're not invisible. They matter. And so that's all a part of getting back your sense of dignity and walking in your own brand. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. Like, I don't have a problem telling you I was homeless, I was on crack, I was in prison, all that. Okay, Ann, it's so much more than my life going on. You better turn the page, read the rest of that book. We can't be stuck back there. It's still things for me to do. That was my stomping ground for me to be prepared and ready and steadfast and unwavering in my commitment in order to move forward to help these people. I'm not afraid to help the underserved. I don't apologize for it. I'm not asking permission to do it. This is what I'm going to do because this is my calling. This is why I was created. That's why I'm a little bit good at it too.
Yeah. So, Kim, thank you for being on the podcast. We're going to ask any old listeners, all viewers to, help in any way they can. Again, the website is timeforchangefoundation.org. We will go ahead and link up the website. Any information you have available, we'll link it up. And thank you for coming on the podcast. Good luck to the foundation and just how you're growing. It's amazing to see, and the number of people you're helping. You're doing very good work. And
well, thank you.
I'm proud to have met you, and I'm proud to have had
I'm
you
proud
on the
to have been here.
podcast.
Thanks for having me today. Remember, www.timeforchangefoundation.org. Woo woo!
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Thank you to our producer, Sam Lubman. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share the podcast. Remember, you can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Google Play, SoundCloud, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. For more information on my business as a property manager and real estate team, go visit my website at marcguzman.com. I really want to thank all of you for listening. It means the world to me, and I hope today's episode provides you value in your day-to-day life. I created this podcast to help showcase the many great people that live in this world and help share some knowledge that I've learned along the way in life. Again, thank you for listening. Check out our sponsors, and I'll catch you on the next episode.